Mm-hmm. Hey guys, welcome to the Be Your Own Boss podcast. I am here today with Dalton Scalf. How old are you?
31.
Oh gosh.
Big 3-1.
Yeah, older than me.
Hey now.
So
Fresh haircut by Liv today. Woo woo.
Gave him a little haircut. So in trade, he's joining the podcast for the day.
That's right.
So I guess go ahead and tell them like what you do and kind of what your schedule's like and stuff like that, because you are your own boss in a way and you have to make your own schedule and yeah.
Yeah. So I work in the med device field. I work in the orthopedics here in Galesburg with Dr. Wilson. So I work with his schedule. So I have to organize getting all the trays and implants in for the surgeries, scheduling the surgeries, making sure that if Dr. Wilson wants anything extra or what his plans for the surgeries are, that we are prepared A, B, C, and D down the line, because I am in the operating room with him.
Scary.
Yeah, it's definitely a field I've worked really hard to get into. I love it. It's always changing. You always got to be on your feet. But so I work with Zimmer Biomet, but I am my own boss because my schedule is not really a 9 to 5. Natalie, my girlfriend, she kind of gripes at me some days because I will work like 2 hours and take a nap on the couch, and she's yelling at me because I'm taking a nap on the couch. Or some days I'm on the road traveling, working 12 to 15 hours. I mean, there's been multiple times where I had to do a midnight trip to Peoria to get something for a case the next day.
Yeah, and that's an hour away. So if you don't know that, and a lot of the times we'll be at the bar, and you or Brandon can't drink because you have to work. So.
Yeah, I do take call with him. So, I mean, basically, like I am like Wilson's kind of second-hand man in the OR. Obviously, I don't really do or perform any of the surgeries, but I help along with total hips, total knees, making sure that the patients are being taken care of, and they get back to a speedy recovery as quick and as soon as possible. So a lot of logistics is the craziest thing right now. We are having a lot of issues with supply chain, as is everybody else in the world,
right.
Whether it be Amazon or, any small business.
Our inventory is the same way. We literally are waiting on stuff for either months or weeks, or it's like there right then. And so it's like crazy just having to plan for unplanned deliveries.
No, that's been really tough. But I mean, I have a pretty good group of team that kind of help support that and manage that inventory there. But it can be a nightmare. It can be frustrating. And, what happens if we don't have something or if we can't get something? Never want to be put in that position, but sometimes you have to be, and you have to be upfront and honest with your doctor. Be like, hey, doc, this is what we're running into. You have to be transparent, right? Because you don't want to get into a situation where you need something and you don't have it. Then you're putting, obviously, your reputation, doctor at risk, and more importantly, the patient.
Right. Well, because you work for the, sales part of it, so not really the doctor part, but, the supplies so the doctor can do their job.
Correct, yeah, to help assist with the surgeries and cases, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, you have a crazy schedule, which Brandon's the same way. I mean, we never know when he's going to work or not. You guys will be like, let's hang out. I'm like, well, he'll be there or he won't. So, definitely feel that. But, a lot of business owners now are, feeling that same thing where they're learning their schedule, learning how to, compose a schedule, and off the bat, even into it, you're several years into your job, I'm several years into mine, you never know what's going to happen or when you're going to have to be there. So definitely something that young entrepreneurs or young people that are going into something like sales or something like that, you have to be able to work when you can make the money and when you can. So, but yeah, so you're busy at work and about to have a baby.
We are, yes, busy at work and busy at home now, I guess.
Natalie's literally about to pop out her kid any day
now. Any day now.
So what has that been like, I guess, learning how your schedule's going to be post-baby to what you're thinking it's going to be like during the labor, I guess?
Yeah. So it's going to be challenging. It's going to be difficult. I love what I do, but I also love her and I love my family just as much, if not more. So it's going to be life and balance, right? So you have to be able to, if it was easy, everybody would do it type of scenario. There's going to be sacrifices, right? But being there off the rip is my number one priority. Number two priority is making sure that I have my business in the good hands of my teammates or partners, and that they're set up for success as well. Like, it's not just about me. There's multiple avenues. I put a lot of time and effort of making sure, like, if something happens right now and I'm in surgery and I get the phone call that Natalie's going into labor, I already have a plan of who can switch into the surgery, who can come in, and I can go do my thing.
Just being prepared.
Yeah. And then also to, Dr. Wilson, giving me the opportunity to allow that to happen. Some docs might not do that. So I've been very fortunate in that field as well. But as far as the work-life balance, it's going to be evolving, playing it by ear. But for my surgery days are pretty set in stone. But just playing around and making sure that, like, if I know that I'm working a little bit too much, that I have to, take care of the home front as well. And my girlfriend Natalie, she definitely keeps me in check, so that probably wouldn't be too tough.
She's sitting here like, yeah. I do.
Correct,
but,
she's saying.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, I mean, even me, like, you guys have been around where I'm working, like, and talking at the same time, or, like, working and doing stuff, and it's, like, hard to pay attention and, like, set priorities between, like, home life and work life, and it's really hard to draw the line, but also, like you said, like, it's just got to be a balance. And then, like, also being prepared for that. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things right now that we're doing preparation for so that later on it's easier. And I mean, it's just with any kind of job where you don't have a set schedule, or like that you are always kind of on your toes, you have to be planned for the anything can happen kind of mentality.
Absolutely. And then, but you also have to, and I think you do a great job of that, is surrounding yourself with people with the same mentality, same mindset. It's not easy always being on call 24/7, or having to feel that you have to answer every one of your customers, right? You know, there's been times where, like, you're just like, should I do this or should I do that, with Natalie or whatever, and it's just like, that's awesome that you feel that way, but, like, you're not obligated, right? But you kind of are, but you kind of not, right? So I mean, you want to surround yourself with the same like-minded people that also challenge and push you to, like, hey, like, that's part of being an adult, like, right? Like, you have a great, successful business, you're kicking ass, taking names. Yes, it comes with, a price, but the price is that you're building an awesome brand, you're building your brand, and you're being able to impact other people's lives, and it's yours, it's your baby, you're the face of it, you're the back of it, you're everything. And so that's something that, like, you take pride in, and if people can't understand that, respect that, then so be it. Don't let them, bring you down, because they can. I get that too on my end of my job. Like, who cares? Just have somebody ever cover your case, or this or that. Or if I'm not on call, but my doctor's working, I'm going to go to work because that's my doc. Like, I busted my ass to get here. Not that I don't trust anyone, but it's just like, that's who I am. That's how we're wired.
Show up.
That's how we're wired. So
I feel like a lot of people don't really get that. Like, especially, like, even my employees, I guess, like, and you can probably relate this to people that you work with, like, they get a clock out, and, like, I don't ever clock out. So, I mean, a lot of them also now, they're doing jobs that, they kind of understand, like, where I'm coming from, where I'm always getting questions and always getting, like, people to comments and stuff. But, like, I mean, you do have to shut it off. But, yeah, Brandon's always like, you just shut it off. That's the great thing about online. I'm like, yeah, but, like, people know that I'm there, and so, like, I want to show up. But same thing with what you're doing. Like, you want to show up for your doctor. You don't want to make him feel like, well, he's just going to pass me off to somebody else.
Correct.
So.
Because it's very easy to do. I mean, in this day and age, it's very easy to get lazy and complacent, and then next thing you know, you're the snowball effect, and you're working 10 times harder to get back to where you were, or something drastic happens, and that could be it. Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people don't want to work nowadays. I go to Target, and they're, like, standing on their phone, and, like, they're at the self-checkout line, and I need help, and it's ding, ding, dinging, and then, like, it takes 15 minutes because so-and-so is talking to their friend, and I've had to literally, like, go up to them and, like, interrupt them and be like, hey, hi, I need help.
Hi, can you do your job? I need help here.
Right, and you're getting paid, like, $15 an hour, like, please just do something. I don't know. But, so, I don't know. It's cool, though, that you get to make your own schedule. You kind of get to line things up, and, like, your doctors know that you're having a baby, so, like, everybody understands. It's just, like you said, like, communication with them to getting to where you want to be, and like being able to have the time that you want to have once baby H gets here.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think you said it best too. It's all about communication, right? Like, so having those tough conversations with like your doctor or some of your employees or customers of like, hey, like here's, guidelines, this is what's going on. You're up front, you're honest about it. And you got to have those difficult conversations. And I don't think you grow as a person or even as a business professional or a sales professional without having those upfront, genuine, tough conversations. Because like, I mean, if you don't have those, you're never going to know how you're going to respond. And like, truthfully, you don't know how the other opposition or the other team or person or whoever's going to feel. And you might be not getting your point across to them and getting very mad or frustrated. And they could be like, oh, nothing's wrong or something,
Right.
And that can learn and go down a rabbit hole quickly.
Yeah.
But so it's about communication. And two, it's very easy this day and age to get on your phone and just text something to someone instead of having the conversation like we are doing now, face to face.
Yeah.
You see the reactions, you can hear and feel the tone of their voice and just kind of what they're going on or what they're feeling versus you just a text message, LOL, or what I mean?
Right, yeah. That's why I like to with my vendors, I like to have a lot of phone calls with them so I can be like, hey, like this is what we need by this time, because if I'm texting them over the computer and I'm like, hey, like, can we get this? They're going to be like everybody else and be like, oh, they just want this sooner, like, blah, blah, they don't mean it, like, whatever, rather than calling them, or whatever. And that's why I call a lot of my employees, too, because, like you said, like, I've had a tough time having conversations because I hate confrontation and I hate, like, making people upset. But, like, if I just say it in a better way of, like, more assertive rather than pissy or, like, aggressive, then it comes off a lot better. And then they understand, like, I need this out of them instead of like, well, you're not doing your job. It's like, I just need this from you. I need to see this. So it's
expectation
a lot easier.
and alignment go a long way.
Yeah. So I guess like if you could give advice to somebody who is kind of in the same field as you, you're kind of relying on somebody else for some guidance as far as like schedule, but like you still get to take the initiative. Like, what's one thing that you would tell them to take it the step farther to show someone like, hey, I'm serious. Like, this is why I should be on your team. This is why I'm an asset. Like, what kind of advice do you have for someone who's trying to like up themselves in the position that they're at now?
Yeah. So whether it be in the field that I'm in or, maybe you or anyone else out there. So like communication is one, right? Two, you have to be prepared. Like, what are you wanting out of it? Like, don't just wake up and like, I'm going to make it happen. No, like, how are you going to make it happen? Like, have not necessarily like a checklist, but like, you got to have like
a plan,
a plan, and you have to follow that plan. And if you go off track or if you don't do that plan correctly, go back into the drawing board and redo it. It's taking chances and failing multiple times. It took me, honestly, almost 10 years to get in this field. Okay. I interviewed over 7 different states for over 12 different companies. I got to the last ride along 3 different times, and I just got beat out to somebody who has quote-unquote sales experience or had med device or pharma device prior to me. Honestly, how I got this job is I moved back home, kind of knew someone. It just kind of fell in my lap, right? But I think it kind of fell in my lap because this was always my dream, this is always my end game, and I never gave up. I kept taking the L's until you get the win, right? So to answer your question, like, what are some things to prepare someone? Communication, being upfront to yourself, not only to yourself, but to others. Mm-hmm. I think to yourself is a big one. Like, are you just hiding behind your phone, or are you just always making excuses? You can't make an excuse. If you fuck up or if you don't do something, don't like, well, this and that. No, you just didn't do it. Like, just cut it there. 2 is being prepared. So like you said, what do you want out of it? You want to, sell $1 million worth of clothes a year. All right, what does that turn out to close per month? And work backwards, right? Or same thing for me. If, I want to do that in med device, work backward. What does that look like? And then another one, I just lost my train of thought. But, what was I going to say? I was communication, prepare. Oh, do what you say. So if you say that you're talking to a customer and, whatever, hey, I'll get back to you in 24 hours. Get back to them in 24 hours, even if you don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Same thing, like for me, like I talk to a lot of higher ups at hospitals. I have no idea what they're asking me to do. Like, yep, I'll figure it out. Or if I don't know, like, hey, so-and-so, I don't know. Give me, 24 hours to get back to you. Or if it's urgent, let me make some phone calls. Like, being okay not knowing everything is okay.
Yeah,
like
totally fine.
Yeah, you're going to put way too much pressure on yourself because the other people, if they're asking you the question, they probably don't know it either, right?
Right, and you don't want to give them wrong information Correct. Either, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's been, numerous times when I started out and, I'm observing the flow of the OR and someone asks me something and, you don't want to like, oh, I don't know, but like, you don't want to tell them something that could drastically influence or affect anything that's going on in that scenario.
Right.
So that's kind of what I've learned from, some of my peers, is if you don't know, like say, hey doc, I don't know, I'll look it up, I'll get back to you, whatever the parameters of that, but follow through. And I think if you do any of those, 3 things in life and you have a plan, attack it, you'll be on the up and up regardless. Yeah. It could take time. Like I said, I know some people who got into this job right out of high school or college. I know some people that it took 3 or 4 years or knew somebody or, me almost 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's, and 2 is what a lot of people don't realize it's kind of about the journey, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
You get to that point and you reflect of like, man, those are some nights where it was kind of nitty or gritty. It was crunch time or it was difficult, but like that made you a better person, that made you a better human, made you a better professional, and you can look back on those things at the at the end of it and hang your hat on something that you're proud that you've done yourself from the ground up.
Yeah, well, like I've had multiple different jobs and I kind of talk about it a lot on the podcast and like in general, but like in each job I learned something. So like if I go talk to somebody and they start talking to me about something, I'm like, oh yeah, I can like relate to that, like I understand what you're saying. And they'll be like, oh, well, like, have you dealt with this? I'm like, yeah, well, I've done this job, and this job. And, like, people are like, well, you hop around a lot. And I'm like, well, each job taught me something, and it taught me, like, what I wanted to do, and then it really taught me what I didn't want to do.
Correct.
And that's kind of where I ended up. So, I don't know. It definitely does help to, like, go through the experiences because I feel like everybody needs to, one, live, like, not really necessarily alone, but they need to live, like, and be okay with being by themselves, and then they need to also live and learn, like, this is how I'm going to do this is how I'm going to pay my bills, this is how I'm going to go out to eat tonight. Like, I remember I used to, like, always have a rule to, like, keep $200 in my bank account, at least, and that's obviously when I was younger, but my dad always says, keep some backup money. Well, there are the nights where my friends would go out, and I had $20 to my name, and I was like, am I going out tonight, or am I going to go eat dinner tomorrow? I have no idea. So, a lot of times I chose the wrong thing, but it taught me how to do the right thing. So, yeah, definitely 100%. I think, like, just having a plan and, like, preparing yourself for your end goals or your, like, small goals that get you to the end goal, I feel like that's really important. Like, a lot of people don't understand that people now are taught that, oh, everyone should be the same and everyone should get equal opportunity. And there's a reason why there's people that have had the same exact opportunities, and some of them end up to be, like, low-life duds, and some of them end up being millionaires. It just depends on, like, what you do with the knowledge and what you do with the opportunities, because I know I've gotten the same opportunities as a lot of people that I know, and they didn't do anything with the knowledge. And I kind of touched on this on a podcast I just did, but how, like, I was telling people, like, boutique owners keep all these secrets because they think that, like, oh, I can't tell anybody how I'm doing things because they're just going to go do the exact same thing. And it's not true because, like, I mean, I can tell you to go brush your teeth 10 times and you'll have no cavities, but are you going to actually do it? Like, probably not. So, yeah. No, I think having, like, small goals to get to the end goal is definitely important. And like you said, even if you're taking losses, you're learning. And I feel like every, like, mistake is a lesson instead of a loss. So, definitely important to realize that.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to be aggressive with your goals within reason. And when I mean within reason, like, hey, if you want to set out your first, if you're starting a new business, new boutique or whatever, and
you can go into whatever you want. You don't have to talk to just boutique.
Well, no, but like for boutique or even like med device, like, hey, I want to make, $100K a month, because I mean, I know people in this industry, it is very lucrative, right? They do clear home, $100K a month, whatever. But what goes into that is a lot. Like, don't set yourself short, but like, if you have a tough goal, you have to be serious with yourself. How are you going to get there and attack it? Because even if you fail, you would be probably surprised of how far you've gone or come to get there. So write that shit down, and don't be afraid to fail. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like, I mean, I don't know how many times, like, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted this job back in high school. And I talked to all my friends, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it never really changed. I had a couple jobs here and there that I was pretty good at and kind of enjoyed or whatever, making sandwiches, Subway artists.
I had to bring it up.
Yeah. But, like, I always had it back in my mind, and I never gave up. Obviously, there's ups and downs, but just having that image in my head of what I wanted and how I want my life to live, and be able to provide for my daughter and my family and stuff. So it's
excited.
It's been a journey, but like it's a journey, and you got to respect and love the journey.
Yeah. And it depends on what you're comfortable with. Like you said, like you had big goals to make this much, and you want to live this lifestyle, and that's something that like my dad talked a lot about. He's like, this is the lifestyle I want to live, so like this is what I'm gonna do. I have buddies who are going out drinking every night and doing this and that and messing around, but like they don't have a boat, they don't have a house the size of ours, they don't have this or this, they can't send their kids to dance lessons because they're spending their money in these ways, or they're, instead of working like I am, they're sitting at home watching the football game, which is fine. Like everybody needs times like that, whatever, we go have plenty of drinks, but I'm just saying, like, as a like 80-40 or 80-20%, like they're splitting up their time in a lot different ways than people who are successful, I feel like. So
it's all about like what's important to you and what you want out of life and things.
Yeah. Yep. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners? Like, okay, well, what are you most excited for to be a dad?
To be a dad. That is a good question. I don't know. I'm just excited for the whole journey, the whole process of, being able to see my girlfriend hold our daughter and just watch her become a mom and like a parent, and then watch me do that, and then just watch our daughter grow. Another thing, sports. I'm excited to watch girls basketball. I'm just kidding. Girls basketball? Softball. No. Cheerleading. No. I'm just...
Me and Natalie would be on the sidelines with like tequila waters instead of waters. Yeah. Tequila in our water bottles.
But no, I'm excited for just the moments that you don't expect to happen and to see, like... I mean, everyone's like, oh, the daughter and, the dress and the father-daughter dance, all that stuff's great, right? But, like, it's the things that happen inside the house that no one sees that you don't necessarily see because it's everyday life.
Right.
And you know that you're impacting her life or in a manner that she doesn't realize yet. Because, I mean, I've had the same, like, my parents are still together and, very fortunate for that. And, they were pretty strict, but God bless them. Like, I wouldn't want them any other way. They taught me a lot of things, and looking back now that I'm going to be a parent, I want to instill that into my daughter's life as well. And I got some advice from one of my coworkers today. He's like, there's really no such thing about being a good dad or being a bad dad. It's just being a dad. That's his only advice. He's like, some people say you might not feel anything when you first meet your daughter. Some people, get all giddy and stuff. He's like, he felt something for one child, and when he's got 4 childs, one of them, it wasn't the same. He's like, It's not that I doesn't love them. It's just like people, it just affects a little bit differently, Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just excited for the whole process. I mean, I know I've kind of really been all over the board here, but I'm just excited to be a dad and see where it takes me and watch me grow and mature as a person. I definitely know it's not going to be easy, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have our ups and downs. But, getting through that together and never giving up on the family, the team, and having a good, strong supporting cast, friends of you and Brandon, and then, her parents and my parents, and just going to the next stages.
You guys have a good support system for sure. But okay, one more question. Mm-hmm. So what is one thing that your parents did that you will not be doing with your daughter? As far as maybe like rules or like making you eat certain vegetable, I mean anything.
Well, I I don't really eat a whole lot of fruits and vegetables anyway, so
pizza tonight.
yeah, probably gonna try to instill that. I don't know. What's one thing that my parents did that I won't do?
Well, here, I'll give you an example. So I went to a high school that didn't really fit my needs. So, like, I wanted to be really good at FFA, and I really wanted to be good at cheerleading and dance. Well, our school is, like, mediocre at, like, everything, but there's 2 schools, and one school is really, really good at dance, and one school is, like, really good at FFA. And they had a good cheerleading team, not awful, whatever. And I was like, I really want to transfer schools. And I had friends in both schools. And my parents were like, no, you started here, you're going to finish here. And I get where they were going with that because, you know, you start something, you end something.
Yep.
But sometimes I think about, like, what if they let me? Like, where
like
would I be a dancer? Would I be a FFA coordinator? Would I be something else? So I'm always like, you know, I'm glad that they kind of made me stay there. But, like, I don't think I'd ever make my kid be like, I wouldn't tell them, like, you know, you have to stay in this school. So, like, I mean, I know that's probably small or whatever, but that was one thing that I was like, I don't know. I would probably let my kids change if they wanted to. Yeah, depending on their dreams. I mean, I was a junior in high school. I knew exactly what my school was and, like, where I wanted to go. And, yeah, I just felt like my school didn't really offer exactly what I needed.
What you were looking for?
Yeah.
So, one thing that I would change, man, I mean, obviously, like, you know, I had, you know, great parents, but I can't honestly think. I mean, obviously, like, as a kid, there's been multiple times where I was extremely pissed off or upset about my parents. Like, let's you know, get that out front right now. I mean, I was a hellion. But I don't know. Like, the biggest. So, like, I guess not wanting to let my parents down. It's not really something that, like, I won't, but, like, giving Baby H, that's our daughter's name for right now.
Probably forever.
Yeah. You know, giving her, like, my mom and dad have always said, you know, work your ass off, work hard, play hard type scenario, but, you know, giving them, like, a leash long enough to hang themselves. So, you know, you can go out and do whatever you want or whatever, but if you go down the wrong path, like, you're going to hang yourself. And, like, that, once that happens, like, that's it, right? So, I mean, not that, like, I don't know, like, that analogy that has stuck with me thick and thin
like,
throughout
you
my
just
tasks.
want to
like,
give them choices.
Yes, and then if whatever choices they make, then, like, kind of go through with it, but they have to learn. And they have to, you know, see life for themselves. Obviously, I want to try to guide her in directions similar to, you know, the same mindset or, you know, train of thought that, you know, me and Natalie have, but at the end of the day, like, I don't want them to be like, we're like, no, like, you have to get into this field, you have to do this, you have to, you know, excuse me, whatever. Not that my parents forced me to do anything like that, but that's just one thing that, like, I think that, so I can't really answer your question, but, like,
so that's one thing that you admire.
I admire,
them,
yes, that I would do, and I would hope to stay true throughout the process of giving her enough slack or enough opportunity to not necessarily hang herself, but to whatever.
Well, reap the consequences of whatever she does.
Yeah. You know, there's consequences and cause and effect and everything. So, yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have to talk about for this time.
Yeah.
But Dalton's going to be starting his own podcast here soon.
Yes.
All about, like, what, politics and sports and
just
all kinds of banter.
Yeah. So it's a couple of my buddies, both back in St. Louis. We talk every day. And we just talk about life, politics. Bullshit. Both of them are married. I'm bullshit. You know, I'm having a kid and just buying a home and just where we kind of see the country going and us and just life in general. And just honestly, it's just for us to kind of bullshit and hang out and kind of become a little bit closer and just something fun to do. Yeah. Honestly.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that you had some good points. I'm glad that we did this. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, if you want to follow the Be Your Own Boss Talk podcast on Instagram, it is just under mine, so Olivia_Honig. So I don't really have an Instagram for it, but we do have a Patreon. So it is patreon.com/beyourownboss.podcast, I believe. I don't have my sheet in front of me this time. And then also just stay tuned for more episodes. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to send them my way, and I'll hopefully answer get to them. But thank you for coming on. And
thanks, Liv. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm excited because hopefully Baby H will be here by the weekend.
Let's hope so.
Can't wait to hold her.